Hello, I am the Programming Dunce, and in this video I will discuss two keywords that I've thus far neglected, followed by a discussion of errors and bugs. The first keyword is const, and you would want to assign a const variable in the same line you declare it. That's because after you declare a const variable, you can't assign it again. C++ even prevents you from assigning a pointer to a const variable. Now, when it comes to pointers, you have to be careful where in the declaration you place the const keyword. If the const appears at the beginning of the declaration, then the object it points to can't be changed at least through that pointer. If the const appears between the start and pointer name, then the pointer is stuck pointing to the same place in memory. Microsoft has a page that explains this in greater detail that I leave in the description below. For your troubles, I actually made a snip of code I wrote in Visual Studio with compile errors having a red squiggly underlines. The next keyword, extern, was briefly seen in the previous video, but it makes sense to explain what it does. Extern is used when you want to use a variable that has been declared somewhere else. For instance, the extern ostream_cout and extern istream_cin references variables ostream_cout and istream_cin respectively. My hunch is that those variables are actually included in a corresponding CPP, CXX, CC file somewhere. Now, a sad fact of life is that every programmer, if they program long enough and tackle big enough projects, will encounter errors or bugs. They come in two major forms, compile errors and runtime errors. The compile errors are easier to deal with as the compiler can actually tell you what those errors are. Runtime errors occur due to some faulty logic in your code, but doesn't break the language rules. This can occur if you try to access a null or dangling pointer, as if it pointed to a legitimate variable. You can try to access element x of an array or array-like object of 0 to x elements. Remember, the max is x minus 1. Ways you can mitigate errors is doing various checks before proceeding. For instance, you can check to see if a pointer, or object in C# and Java, is null. You should also initialize pointers as soon as possible, lest they point to some garbage memory the OS won't allow you to access. A file could fail to open for any number of reasons, and so, if you have a program using a file, it should be prepared for that eventuality. There are many functions/methods out there you might use that have some mechanism of returning some error. Some operations may also throw something. In C++, they could throw anything from an exception object to a primitive variable. Any function, method, operation you expect to throw something can be placed inside a try scope. After the try scope should be followed by a catch something scope or a finally scope. The catch should specify the type of variable you anticipate might be thrown in the try code. If an exception is thrown in the try code, then if you have a catch clause matching the exception, then that catch code will run. If you don't have a catch clause that matches the exception, then the finally code will run.
Code example, we have our own function that basically throws a tantrum. It throws an integer of 2 if the parameter is odd and a char of g if the parameter is even. We then apply the try and catch phrases and a function on top of that, and it catches the integer and the character. Now, these exceptions here don't necessarily indicate an error, but usually they do. Thank you for watching, and in the next few videos I shall discuss portions of the C++ standard library.